Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. I've got a couple things I wanted to talk about in regards to Grayscale. I'm going to talk about the LTCN and BCHG funds and the prices. And I'm going to talk about the rotation stuff that I've talked about in the past, like I've called it the path of freedom. I've also talked about second stage trust. I want to talk about some of those things and some issues to think about, to watch out for as we move forward. Now, we're obviously a long ways away from the bull run actually happening and being able to do rotations and stuff, but there's some things that I want everybody to keep in mind moving forward. Just, in case I get hit by a bus and I don't bring these things up in the future, definitely keep these things in mind. So first, let me talk about LTCN and BCHG. A lot of us are hoping for lower prices, significantly lower prices. We've heard Cesar from Cesar Gets Crypto talk about the potential for both of these trusts going down in price. And a lot of us who are looking to add to our positions, or if you're looking to get into a position for the first time, a lot of us are hoping for lower prices, and there's no guarantee that these lower prices are going to come anytime soon on any kind of schedule either, right? Nobody has a crystal ball as good as Cesar is with TA. Nobody knows for sure. So, we can't count on things happening in a certain time frame. I have no doubt that we're going to see lower prices, significantly lower prices in the coming months. But, for example, if you look back at what happened at trust prices prior to the last crypto bull run, we saw major dips in the summer. So we could see major dips happening this summer. We could go up in price now and see the dips come this summer, at which point it's too late to get in and buy if you're looking for long-term capital gains. So if you're okay with short-term capital gains, well, that's, it's still a good time to get in. But for long-term capital gains, like, you've got a clock, a timer, and you're up against a wall, essentially. The way I look at it for myself, like, I'm still going into LTCN. I'm packing a last position in LTCN, and I look at it and I go, well, my deadline is really kind of mid-February, because I look at it and I go, well, that means I really can't sell it until the middle of next February. And if things line up the same way, things may not repeat the same. They might be better, might be worse. But if the bull run length for LTCN and BCHG lasts for approximately the same duration, but they're shifted forward by a month because of Bitcoin halving is happening a month earlier than it did last run, well, then April might be the last chance to sell these trusts. And so I look at it and I go, if I'm able to start selling a lot of, a certain lot of shares in February, I need to bust ass. I need to move. Like, I'm not going to have that much time. I have no idea what price action is going to be. I have no idea what the prices are going to look like in March and April of next year. I have no idea. So, I'm kind of like, yeah, I would like lower prices, but I really don't have an option. And other than to just kind of DCA in now and hope I get the best price I can. Now, I'm okay paying the prices that we've got right now. It's like, because I still think the returns will be great. Obviously, if I got in at lower prices, it would be even better. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, because it's still a darn good return, based on where we think things are going. And I was actually, speaking of this, I was going through, I've got all of my separate lots of LTCN and BCHG, all the trusts I have in a spreadsheet, in there I recorded my cost basis. And I was looking at it this morning, and I saw two lots of LTCN, which had a cost basis of like $15 and something. And I was like, when the hell did I buy these? I'm like, that's really high. And I look back in Fidelity, and most brokerages will allow you to do this too. Like, if you're looking at your lot of LTCN or BCHG or whatever, it'll show you, when you bought shares of that position and at what date and at what price. And I was like, damn, yeah, this lot is comprised of shares that I bought back in the fall of 2020, like in October of 2020. And it's mixed in there with some ones that I bought later on. But those are some of the shares that I didn't end up selling during the last bull run that I talked about previously, for whatever reason. And so my cost base, like, I looked at the history, I'm like, I was buying some of these shares for like, $50, $60, $70 a piece in October of 2020. So, but still, it's like, where things went, it was still a good return, but not nearly as good of a return as most of my lots now. So they have a lower cost basis. So just kind of a side note, it's like, if you don't sell your shares, guess what? It's a long wait. It's a long wait, because the stuff I bought back in 2020 with a cost basis of $15 and change, well, I've basically I have to wait. I'm gonna have to wait 4 years basically to sell it at a better price. So it's like don't screw up and don't leave some of your shares on the table, because it could be a long time before prices recover to a point where you're actually in the green. Okay, this is why I said the other day in a video I did about selling at a loss, like if it comes down to the end of the wire for the bull run and I still have some shares left, I'm going to sell them, even if it's like below cost, because I know what's probably going to happen is prices are going to create way below cost. And so I'm going to be, if I don't sell at a loss, then I'm going to be sitting there holding on to my shares at a much greater loss and having to ride through the depths of crypto winter, and I'm not going to be able to recover till the next bull run. And I'd rather sell things like, for the things where I have a cost basis of 15, for example, I'd rather sell those things at a cost base at a share price of 10, right? And take a loss of a third, basically, but still be able to then take that $10, and buy shares for $2 or $3 in the bear market. It's a much better deal. So I just looked at what happened, and it's like, well, that's kind of my game plan. Like, if I cannot sell all my shares before the end of the bull run, that's what I'll do. Also, I'm just going to like put in a market sell order and get whatever I can for them as things are crashing. That's I've talked about that. So anyway, let me switch over and talk about the rotation of capital between trusts that I've talked about in the Path of Fortune videos that I put out, and also prior to coming out with videos like that, talking about utilizing the second phase trust to get into to basically enhance your gains. So something I've said this before in videos, I just want to repeat this again, like just so everybody knows and they don't dump their whole portfolio. I would not do this with your whole portfolio, with a big portfolio. I wouldn't, because some of these trusts are pretty small. Like their liquidity could be an issue. I have no idea what it's going to look like in the bull run, but they're smaller trusts, and there's an issue with smaller trusts. Like if you try to dump a lot of money into a smaller trust, you can spike the premium, and then you lose out, because then eventually, sooner than later, it's like the premium is likely to collapse. So if you put $100,000 into like ZCSH and it spikes the premium, or into Mana and it spikes the premium, well, wait a couple days, probably that premium is probably going to come off and drop back to normal, and you've lost half of what you put in, for example, as an example. And none of this is financial advice or tax advice or any of that kind of stuff. So just do your own research, make your own decisions, all that kind of stuff. So rotation of capital between trusts, like I did a little research, and I looked at, okay, well, what, of the trusts that we have in Grayscale, some of them we didn't have last bull run, but there were native cryptocurrencies that are associated with those that were around. So what did they do? Either the native trusts or the native cryptos that are in existence, or the Grayscale trusts that are in existence. And it came up with basically a calendar, like as to when things popped off, when prices started to really moon and see some good results, and then kind of when they ended and all that kind of stuff. And I put these in order so that we could potentially consider different ways to rotate our profits and make bank, right? So it's too late for this first mover from last bull run. The first mover that we have a trust for now is G-Link. This is the Chainlink trust, and Chainlink started to move in August of 2020. So it was before Litecoin, before Bitcoin Cash, before the LTCN and BCHG trust. But that was the first mover. It might be an early mover again this year, but it's too, to me, you can't get into G-Link right now and expect that, well, you're gonna have to pay short-term capital gains, and it's a smaller trust. So I don't know that I would. But if someone's going to get into it, it might be a good investment. I don't know. So do your own research. I don't want to let what I say deter you or anything like that. So G-Link was the first mover in August 1st, 2020. This is when prices started to first move. BCHG and LTCN started to move significantly mid-November, so around November 15th. And then 2 weeks later, right at the end of November, XLM started to move. So we've got the GXLM trust this time around. That could be the next mover. This is where I talked about, like, a potential rotation of capital from LTCN or BCHG into GXLM is possible if we keep this schedule. But there are no guarantees, and it was a really tight window. Like it was like a 2-week window max, where that we had to basically rotate capital out of LTCN and BCHG last bull run into GXLM if it existed, but it didn't then, but it does now. So it could be a really small window. I don't know if this is going to exist. They might, GXLM might start moving at the same time as LTCN and BCHG. I don't know. We will find out. If it does, this is out the window. But if it's not, there's a potential, for you to rotate capital into a GXLM. Now, the next movers last bull run were HZen and ZCSH, the Horizon and Zcash cryptos. They started to move significantly on January 1st. So we had about a month between GXLM starting to move and HZen and ZCSH starting to move. Obviously those trusts didn't exist, but the native cryptos did. So I'm just going to assume it's going to happen the same time this year. So about a month. So to me, that's like, it signals enough time to move between GXLM and those. Like you got a month to basically cash out of GXLM and potentially rotate into HZen and ZCSH. And those are okay trusts. They're, I think they have a slightly higher volume than GXLM. I don't have the numbers up in front of me right now, but I think those would be okay to get into. Not with a ton of money. I wouldn't put $250,000 or $500,000 into these things unless the market caps are pretty big and we had, healthy volume. And I know you're saying, well, $500,000. I don't have $500,000. Well, you might. I mean, it's like if you started with $1,000 in LTCN and you cash out at a 20x, you got 20 grand. Well, let's say you do a 200x or a 20x in GXLM. You've got $400,000 right there. So I mean, you might. So you got to think about that. So it's like, this is why, I would say I don't think it's wise to really try this rotation with a really big portfolio. Like I wouldn't start with, $100,000 of LTCN right now, if that's what you got, and try to take the whole thing after it does a 20x, like $2 million, roll $2 million into GXLM. And then if you do a 10x, $20 million into HZen to ZCSH, it's not. I just think that's too much for the trust to support without spiking the premiums. I could be wrong. We'll have to watch these things, see what the volume is, all that kind of stuff, because I just don't know. I don't know. So anyway, so that's what happened on January 1st is when those two cryptos, which now have trust, started to move. Then mid-January, we had the basic attention token, which is BAT. Grayscale has a trust fund for this, GBAT. It's really small, and I would not use it. I would just not use it unless things really change in the next couple months. I mean, the volume is super low on GBAT. I wouldn't do it. So anyway, so that was mid January. Next one was March 1st, and that's Mana, the Mana crypto, native crypto. We didn't have the Mana Trust around there, but we do have a Mana Trust now. So if things happen the same, there was time to rotate. There was a 2-month period to rotate between HZen and ZCSH to Mana. If things repeat, and this is a big if, like there's no guarantees, folks, but there was a 2-month window basically to rotate into Mana. Then it's like that's when Mana kind of started to take off. Then Ethereum Classic, the ETCG trust, started to take off in the middle of March. So it gave you about 2 weeks to basically get a return in Mana, and then cash out and rotate over to Ethereum Classic, the ETCG trust, which I think would be okay. I don't know how much I'd put again in these. Like I don't know. I wouldn't put a whole lot in there. At the same time, the live peer crypto took off. This is ticker symbol LPT. Now, Grayscale has a trust for live peer. It's GLIV as the ticker symbol. It is super small. I mean, it's like less than like $1,000 or $2,000 a day in volume. It's super small. I would not put any money in there. I won't. I would definitely stay away from that. Do whatever you want again, but I would stay away. And then okay, so this was that happened for Mana, or Mana was March 1st. Ethereum Classic was March 15th. So was Live Peer, and then August 1st, several months later, was Solana, and we've got the GSOL Trust. All right, so technically, theoretically, Solana could be a last stage that we rotate money into. Here's the problem though with Solana and GSOL. It looks to me like this crypto bull run is that Solana's going to be a first mover because it's already had significant price action here recently. And so I don't think it's going to be a late mover. I think it's going to be a first mover. Now, things could change. Like it could pump right now and then it could dump, and it could just stay in the dumps for months. And maybe it would end up being a late mover. We're not going to know until time proceeds. And it doesn't even matter right now because we're not looking to rotate into it right now. At least most people won't be. Some people might be in position. I think I've got I do have a position in GSOL because I wanted to play the game. I'm like, I want to see how well this trust works. But I don't think it's something that's going to be around for us to rotate into unless Solana does end up being a late stage mover, like last in line, basically, among the cryptos that have trusts. So anyway, so just to recap really quickly what I was talking about here. I think the funds that are viable, and all these dates should be shifted ahead a month. Like if I say November 15th from last year, well, if things happen the same way on the same timeline, shift it forward and think October 15th. So why don't I just do that? I'll just do that here. I'm like, in theoretical numbers, if the dates were to stay the same, it would be shifted forward a month as to what these trusts and native cryptos, when they happened, what I think might be a viable rotation. Okay, October 15th or that mid-October for LTCN and BCHG to kick off, end of October for GXLM, and then 1st of December probably for HSEN as ECSH, and then probably 1st of February for Mana, and then mid-February for Ethereum Classic, ETCG, and then, July of 25 for GSOL. If it doesn't end up being a first mover. So it's probably going to be a first mover though. So that's off the table. But again, this is a good example where I've said like everything's kind of, we don't know yet. Things could be different this time. And Solana is a great example. Like Solana last time came in last place. It was a last mover. And this time it looks like it's going to be one of the first movers, from what I can tell in price action, unless things correct and stay in the dumps. And so that's a huge change. I mean, it could easily be a year plus difference, when these things run. So I don't think trying to say that things are going to happen on the same calendar, even shifted forward by a month, is a little bit dangerous. So it's like these things are going to have to be done on the fly. Like if we think that the XLM is going to move after Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, well, then we might have a very, very, very small window, a short time frame to actually rotate into that trust. And that's just, that's it. If it's even available, it's like we might need to really bust ass to move in there. And, we don't even know like these smaller trusts and smaller cryptos, like when they might move this time. So it's like there's going to have to be, I don't know, just analysis, I guess, closer to the time when this stuff is happening, like towards the end of the year, as to what, our best ideas are for when things might move. And there's no guarantee, obviously. And I think we can hopefully get some good ideas from TA, coming from people like Cesar and others, as to when things might start to move. But you got to keep that in mind. Also, just to repeat again, like these trusts, other than LTCN and BCHG, you got to watch out for liquidity. And, I said, like, I wouldn't put the bulkier portfolio into these because I just don't know that the trust would support that. I think premiums would spike off the chart. So you got to watch for this, right? You don't. I would only put put in a little bit, like the example, that I've given a couple times is like if you start out with an initial investment of LTCN of $1,000 and you let that thing ride through the different stages, like $1,000 turns into $20,000 after you do 20x with LTCN. Then if you can do 10x, well, it turns into an GXLM turns into 200,000, and then you got $200,000 to rotate into other trusts that could do turn into $1 million. Like I would do that, because then you're just risking $1,000. You don't want to risk like $1,000 initial investment. I don't think, trying to push it through these trusts after you amplify it. I think that would be too much. But I mean, I could be wrong, but just looking at the size of these trusts right now, I don't know. I don't think that would be a good idea. So, but just my opinions. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to end this video here. I'm still, as I said, still doing some buying on LTCN. I'm going to finish up here, hopefully by the end of next week, maybe, early next week after. I would love to see lower prices, just like everybody would who's trying to buy more or buy in for the first time. But I don't know that there's any guarantee we're going to get it. And, there's a guy or two on Discord, and I can't forget I can't remember the usernames, so I apologize. But, they have a pretty, they put up, I think it's Stacknats is one of the guys, and other is BTC4 Schizo, I think. Yeah, those are two of the guys. I think I got the usernames right. They'll put out charts and just say, well, here's where things might be going. And it's like, I think one of the latest ones from today, it's like, well, it could be going, LTCN could be, for example, going higher if we kind of hold the line, so to speak, in terms of what the price action is right now. It could be going significantly higher, and that could be the case. It could be the case. Maybe not forever, but for the short term. So you can't. Depends on your time frame when you're trying to get in and the prices that you like to get in at. But don't hang your hopes and dreams and all that stuff out on a $7 LTCN, because we might not see it again until the next bear market. Honestly, we might not see $7 LTCN again until next bear market, or even $8 LTCN. It might not happen. Those days might be gone. So just, you got to make your own decisions when it comes to purchasing, just like you got to make your own decisions when it comes to sell. So, all right, I'll see you guys soon. Hope you guys are doing well. You guys take care. Oh, by the way, if you haven't joined Discord, click the link in the pinned comment below and join the community there. We talk investing. All right, see you guys soon. Take care.